You will die today. Madame Codiotu's voice ripped through the compound like thunder. I swear you will not leave this place alive. She stood in the middle of the dusty yard at house number 14 Bomba Road, Freetown, her wrapper loose around her waist, eyes burning with uncontrollable rage. In her hand was a thick wooden stick, swinging wildly as if it carried her anger from years of bitterness. The tenants froze where they stood. Everyone knew that when Madame Codiotu reached this point, someone would suffer. But what happened next, nobody could have imagined. 3 months earlier, house number 14 was known across Bomba Road as a place of fear and silent tears. Madame Codiotu owned the large 12-room compound. She rented it to people who had nowhere else to go. Widows, struggling families, old men trying to survive one more day. But Madame Codiotu was not a kind woman. She was cruel. Every month, she increased the rent without warning. If anyone complained, she fought them. If anyone tried to move out, she locked their room and kept their belongings hostage. Every morning at exactly 6 a.m., her stick would announce her arrival. Bang. 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 Where is my money? She would shout. You think this is your father's house? Pay me or pack out. Fear woke the compound before the sun. Mama Sia's pain in room 3 lived Mama Sia, a fish seller with 3 children and a heavy heart. Her husband had died 2 years earlier, leaving her alone to carry the burden of survival. 1 month, Mama Sia could only raise half of the rent. She stood before Madame Codiotu, tears rolling down her cheeks, money shaking in her hands. Madam, please, she begged. My child was sick. I used the rest for hospital. I will complete it next week. I swear on my children's lives. Madame Codiotu looked at the money, then spat on the ground. You think I am running a charity? Before anyone could stop her, she grabbed Mama Sia by the hair and dragged her across the yard, beating her in front of her. Crying children. The neighbors watched. Nobody helped. Fear sealed every mouth. That night, Mama Sia borrowed money from 5 different people to complete the rent. She paid it the next day, but the shame never left her heart. Papa Musa's fall in room 7 lived Papa Musa, an old taxi driver who had stayed in the compound for 8 years. He paid his rent faithfully and helped other tenants whenever he could. One day, his taxi broke down. He spent all his savings fixing it. When rent day came, he was shot by 20,000 leons. Removing his cap respectfully, he stood before Madame Codiotu. Madam, I beg you. I have never failed you. Please give me 1 week. Madame Codiotu laughed loudly. 8 years. So what? Old man, you are very foolish. That same day, she called the police. Inspector Komar arrived with his men and arrested Papa Musa in front of everyone. The tenants had to gather money to bail him out. When Papa Musa returned, broken and ashamed, he packed his belongings and left the compound forever. Nobody ever heard from him again. Madame Codiotu ruled the compound with fear, using police officers she paid to do her dirty work. The tenants hated her, but rent was expensive everywhere in Freetown. They were trapped. Sometimes Mama Sia would whisper, one day, God will punish that woman. But months passed, and Madame Codiotu only became worse. Until one hot Tuesday morning. The arrival of Zainab, a young woman, came to inspect room 10, the small room at the back of the compound. She carried only one small bag. I am Zainab, she said calmly. I need a room. I can pay 6 months in advance. Madame Codiotu's eyes widened. 6 months. She smiled sweetly. My daughter, welcome. This room is perfect for you. The room was not perfect. The roof leaked. The window was broken. Rats hid in the corners. Zainab looked around once and nodded. I will take it. She paid immediately. Clean notes.h. Madame Codiotu's hands trembled as she collected the money they slapped 2 weeks later. Trouble came knocking. Madame Codiotu, angry over a failed relationship, went looking for someone to punish. She banged on Zainab's door and stormed inside. You are burning candles in my room, she shouted. I don't burn candles, madam, Zainab replied calmly. Are you calling me a liar? Before anyone could blink, Madam Kodiotu slapped her. The compound went silent. Zainab's eyes changed. You should not have done that, she said softly. Madam Kodiotu laughed. What will you do? I own this place. She raised her hand again. Zainab caught it midair. Her grip was like iron. Madam Kodiotu screamed and called the police. Inspector Komara's shame. Inspector Komara arrived with 3 officers, confident and cruel. Arrest her, he ordered. They grabbed Zainab. I am giving you one chance, Zainab said calmly. Let me go. Inspector Komara laughed. Then everything changed. In a movement nobody could explain, Zainab freed herself. 2 officers flew into the wall. Inspector Komara found himself lifted into the air like a sack of rice. She threw him into the gutter. The compound erupted in shock. Madam Kodiotu trembled. Who are you? She whispered. I am just a girl who wanted peace, Zainab replied. But you would not allow it. The lesson. Inspector Komara fled in shame. Zainab warned him to stop taking bribes. Then she turned to Madam Kodiotu. Real power is not shouting or beating the weak. Real power is kindness. Madam Kodiotu broke down. She confessed her pain. Her husband had abandoned her years earlier. Anger had shaped her cruelty. Pain is not an excuse to destroy others, Zainab said gently. Madam Kodiotu apologized to everyone. And she changed. A new beginning. From that day on, Madam Kodiotu reduced rent, fixed the compound, and treated tenants with kindness. Zainab stayed for 2 years, helping everyone. Then one morning, she left. There are other places that need help, she said with a smile. Years later, people still tell the story of the wicked landlord.